name is Dion Johnson. I'm a professor in the Department of Art and Art History. I'm the gallery's director and distinguished artist, and I am pleased to present Kyoko Taniyama's exhibition, Sound from the Golden Age. There are a lot of ways in which we assemble exhibitions. For Kyoko's, I have a guest curator, Ichiro Irie. Often I am the curator and I do studio visits with artists who may be in Los Angeles or from New York or other places through gallery relationships or other curators that I know. And my role as a gallery director is to bring art and culture and new ideas every exhibition to our campus. In Kyoko's example, a multimedia experience, I got to know Kyoko, who is a Japanese artist based in Berlin, through her relationship with a curator, Ichiro Irie, here in Los Angeles. Through those connections and Ichiro having shown here in the Harris Gallery a couple of years ago, we came up with the idea that Kyoko, with a grant, would do research about our area, the campus, and the Orange Grove history. And so, having made a effort to connect with professors like Al Clark, Benjamin Jenkins, and others here on our campus, she created a project visiting orange groves and looking at maps and collecting information to present this site-specific installation. I know Kyoko has made some really great relationships, getting to know everyone who wanted to help and participate. And in this way, this artwork is very much about community, which I feel is very important in the time of a pandemic. And art bringing people together and having a conversation is very valuable.
My name is Ichiro Irie. I was invited by the director, Dion Johnson, to curate this exhibition. I'm an artist as well as a curator. I did a lot of my curatorial work in Mexico City as well, but I also have experience in Japan, so I feel like I have ties with different communities around the world. Kyoko and I were actually in an exhibition as artists together in Santa Monica, California. There were a good dozen artists involved with that exhibition. Her work was quite memorable to me. There were all Japanese artists involved with that exhibition, but her work specifically dealt with issues of longitude and latitude. And she often makes these very site-specific works. She's had kind of a very nomadic existence. So I think getting to know a place and the history and geography is quite important to her personally and also as an artist. So I knew she would make something specifically for this exhibition, and that was kind of the impetus of me inviting her without knowing what kind of work that she would make.
I'm Kyoko Taniyama, who is a Japanese artist, and now I am living in Berlin since 2018. And usually I am making site-specific installation, also making sculpture and using video, photographers, and in this time sound. And I like to use analog experimental expression way usually. It was 19 summer. I got an invitation from curator Ichiro to the group show About Place. Usually I research background history of the location or people daily life. That's why the exhibition name is really exactly my interest. So that's why I started research about history of Laban. I really like to feel the environment and my personal location and existence. Yeah, I'm a Japanese, a pure Japanese. I'm not mixed, but I grew up in Borneo near to jungle until 4 years old. And then when I come back to Japan, I really lost my track because even if Japanese, I'm really Japanese, but I couldn't catch up people's talk and sense because I grew up in a really, in a forest. Not city person. So I confused. So afterwards, our family moved a lot. So that's why always I was thinking about my own location. Where am I? So and then that feeling returned to me very strongly when I visited affected area from the earthquake. So and then I started longitude that long project, and I developed the concept ubiquity, and then made more different projects.
The origin of ibrati comes from the Latin word ubi, meaning the quality or state of being in a place, and the word is currently seldom used in Europe. It is similar to the Japanese word shozai, that's the composition of location and existence. In a dictionary, the meaning of shozai is one's whereabouts or where one is.
When I develop a new installation, I would like to know the mood of the location, also environment, local history, culture, or inhabitants' real daily lives. These informations gives me inspiration, sometimes surprise and ideas. And then I often find gaps from my daily lives or my cultural background. And then I could reconfirm my identity. As my understanding and sharing with others, I would have liked to have a word that symbolizes motivation of my creation. When I started to research Laverne, I interested in the citrus industry when I saw a lot of old videos from Laverne or citrus industries in US or LA, California. Always original noise from orange packing house missing. So I wondered what kind of sounds laborers were listening. Of course, I could research some noises from other videos in Spain or some places, but it was very short. And then I contacted Ichiro, Curator Ichiro, and then asked to him, are there some ways to work with the university or someone in university? And then Ichiro talked about it to Dion, and then Dion introduced me, Professor Alclark, and then he invited Benjamin Jenkins and Anna. 2019, I had a first online meeting with 3 people, yeah. And then at the time, actually, I already had a little bit simple prototype, my sculpture, and showed it. I want to make this, and then I'm really interested in sound. So, and then always I really want to feel this location. So without real physical research, it is a little bit difficult to, integrate all of impression or inspiration. So that's why, I contacted them, and then they were so kindly invited to visit them. Soon before pandemic, I traveled to Laverne and then met Dion and everybody. And also Dion dropped me to Riverside. Dion helped me to look for a citrus packing house that can cooperate my project, because I sent many emails to Orange Packing House in Los Angeles or Riverside also, or some other cities, but no one replied me. So I really, couldn't make appointment in advance. And also dropped me to Orange Citrus Heritage Park in Riverside. And then she also explained about the history of citrus industry to me in the car. It was really rich information. For the Orange Packing House, we entered and just recorded. It was very short. Really, we stayed there 15 minutes or 20 minutes. The manager was a bit rushing. So during Dion talking with the woman, I tried to find a place to record good sounds. On a vinyl record, B side B, is a sound from citrus trees. orange trees in a heritage park. Was I use contact microphone. I clip the microphone and branches, and then I try to do picking up oranges or something like this. I didn't pick up a real one, but I tried to make similar sound. So I wanted to feel the feeling. Now, what do I feel or with the orange tree sound? Professor Al Clark shared what made his oral history archive sound. Yeah, he had a lot of interviews with inhabitants in Lavang who knows 50s or 60s. He kindly allowed me to use some voices. So that's why I just selected up one word from Al's interview archive. If I give too much information to audiences brain become more learning something or fixed. So that's why later I reduced everything.
Okay, that's all there is. Go pick oranges. Go pick oranges. Go pick oranges while we're filling the box.
When I was editing the sound from the orange packing house, actually I became a bit sick from the noise. I was using headphone and then listening the noise the whole day and for days. So it was a little bit a tough experience. So I thought that perhaps attitudes toward these sounds may have evolved from sound to noise pollution for laborers in the orange packing house. On the other hand, one might consider the noise as a metaphor of the growth of the citrus industry. In the title, Sound from the Golden Age, I wanted to include many kinds of aspects. The vinyl record is a 6-minute sound piece. When audiences turn the turntable for 6 minutes, perhaps the routine movement becomes meditative experience. Most of the machines use the rolling mechanism. And when humans work with machines, usually people have to adjust your tempo to the machine physically. I attempted to lead it to the action of working by this sound sculpture as a homage to the golden age of the citrus industry in Laverne. After I experienced the noise in the packing house, and corona pandemic started and everything closed. And suddenly in Berlin, of course, all over the world, I think we had to stay at home. So all of common noise disappeared from our daily life suddenly. So the gap was so big for me. I sent my art piece to Dion carefully. So that's why as much as possible, I wanted to make light the package and wanted to hold the art piece very carefully with the styrofoam and then cardboard and to make it stable, and then wanted to send very simple way. And then Dion set up everything. I'm really grateful to Dion and Ichiro. About the orange crates, that is the same is the size is same as a real one. Benjamin and Al Clark showed me the original orange crates. So I measured and I made a replica in Berlin using similar materials. Simple map, the drawing map is from the 1928. The year actually in Evelyn Hollings' book, she wrote it was the kind of a peak of the selling of oranges. So that's why I thought it's really fit. Mm-hmm. So drawing map is from 1928. And I just printed it out with a transparent paper. And it's most simple way for making a gramophone record player, analog one. Mm-hmm. So, I thought the paper is light and also beautiful. And another photo, a real photo, it's a map. I bought the map from the public archive. It's 1948. It was the oldest map from the public archive, so that's why I used. But still, most of places are orange groves. So I thought, anyways, I can see the old sceneries from above. Mm-hmm. I think art piece always should be very open to everybody. My installation, usually I don't want to make direction so strongly. I want to give questions to audiences, because vinyl record is on top of the sculpture. Usually people expect music, but it's just only noise. I understand I need a little bit explanation about this artwork, but I hope audience can feel this experience and freely, so can think about past or your life, or more interested in love and history. I am also collecting oral history from one city in Yokohama, Japan. So it's 10 years archive project with local people, inhabitants. I call this project Lat Long Project. This I started from 2011 earthquake disaster in Japan. The project is about place. People can talk about special personal memories of the specific location. So, and then I show only latitude and longitude coordinate numbers and without speaker's name. And then making a booklet every year. And then now we already have 77 people's voices, stories, personal stories from the site-specific place. And also I'm making sculptures. I use trashes from some places. And then I hide trashes by plasters and then make the shape and then make sculpture. Yeah. Also, actually, I'm working with my partner about climate or weather and our mind. So because our brain activity is very similar to the CO2 heat map of our globe, we are connecting to both. And then now we are developing this interactive installation. We are planning July, maybe mid of July, I think. And in October, in Germany, the city name is Oberstein. The place is kind of 17th century. The place was mecca of jewelry industry. So now still 4 big jewelry dealers are there. And before there are many factories. So I will record the machine of the cutting. And then December maybe we'll have exhibition for the sculpture. I'm doing also public art, renovated the big swimming pool, or also I installed many works in the hospital, or also making sculpture or site-specific installation. KyocoTaniyama.com, then you can find my website. And yes, maybe some photos you can find.
Kyoko's exhibition was supposed to be part of a larger group exhibition, and now it's transformed, largely due to the pandemic, into a solo exhibition as an introduction to the About Place project. Dion and I have known each other for a while now. We actually went to grad school together. I organized an exhibition called Sculpturengarten, which is a German word which simply means sculpture garden, but it was an indoor exhibition of large-scale freestanding sculptures, and I had invited him to that show. And he really liked it, and he thought it would be great to have something like that at the Harris Gallery, and he invited me to organize something for this space, but knew I needed to limit the number of artists I would invite. So I wanted to keep that idea of sculpture and freestanding sculpture, but I wanted to limit kind of the thematic scope of it. In particular, with this idea of location and geography, it seemed to be like a common thread in the exhibition. And it was also, it's all something that's in my mind all the time as a curator and as an artist as well, because, I was born in Japan and then grew up in Southern California and spent some time in Japan, but also spent 5 years in Mexico City. So I've had kind of a nomadic existence as well. So this idea of location and geography as it relates to identity is of personal interest of mine as well. So that's kind of how the show evolved, and that's how I grew the show to include these 8 or 9 artists that are invited. So just to give you an example of 3 of the other 9 artists in the show, one of them is by the name of Aguiniga, and she's a local artist that was born in Tijuana, Mexico, and she works between Tijuana and Los Angeles. Her works deal with the relationship between the US and Mexico, and the piece that she's showing is actually a chair and a table that reflect against the wall, so it becomes almost like this symmetrical structure that becomes almost this reflection between Los Angeles and Tijuana. And another artist is by the name of Sandra Mann, and she's an artist from Frankfurt, Germany. She's a street photographer, but also a visual contemporary artist. She's done a series of constructed images she takes in the forest to create these almost fictional narrative images that have some kind of relationship to the biography of each person being depicted. Another artist is a Finnish artist named Heini Aho. Her work often deals with these ideas of place, and actually her work might change a little bit. So I'm not quite sure exactly what she'll be showing, but she makes also sculptural works that often deal with location and geography and nature and everything. So yeah, I'm very excited about all the works that'll be shown. We really wanted to do something, at least by this year. Kyoko was kind enough to do this introduction of this exhibition as a virtual show. And then hopefully when the physical show where people can visit the gallery and everything happens sometime next year, hopefully her piece will be included as well in the exhibition. One last thing I would like to mention about Kyoko's piece is the audio component of the work is obviously very important, and sound has such a distinct relationship to memory. And even though it's not your own personal memory that's involved with, I've never worked in an orange factory before, so it's like it's not my memory, but for me it very poetically evokes this kind of sense that there's people that are tied to this history, and when we're here, we still become, in a way, a part of that history. All the other pieces, I think, will deal with different aspects of LA or different parts of the world, but I really appreciate the fact that Kyoko was able to make a piece that was so distinctly tied to the history of this location. You could find a little bit about me on ichiro-irie.com. But also, I've been organizing a group called Kipo, and we do this big event in Mexico City called Kipo Fair, and it's an art fair that involves a lot of artist-run initiatives and artist-run galleries and everything. The fair, it'll definitely happen again next year, so please look out for that. Kipofair.com, so hopefully you guys can check it out.
Go pick oranges. Well, go pick oranges. Go pick oranges.